Listen to this. The book is called 3 Years in Pakistan, the Erik Audé story. This is a riveting account of Erik Audé's tumultuous 3 year journey through the heart of Pakistan. This is the overview of the book that he's written, and I'm just giving you the summary offered, but it helps set the scene, and then we can follow up with some specifics. Falsely accused of drug trafficking, Audé's life takes an unexpected turn as he finds himself thrust into the unforgiving depths of a foreign prison system. But the Pakistani prison system, I can't think of anything worse on earth. I mean, well, we'll get to it in a second and talk to him about it. He talks about the fact that in the book he speaks of these insanely harsh realities on death row, people he met, inspiring moments, and he has to navigate the complexities of this Pakistani legal system. I'm curious as to whether he was given representation or how the whole thing worked. I mean, there's so much here, but he's made it. He's survived, and he's written this book, and he joins us now. Erik Aday, everybody. Hey there, Erik.
Hey, Mark. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm excited to get into the book, and I'm also curious as to the origins of all of this. So I get it. You end up in this Pakistani prison. How did it happen that you end up there?
I mean, it's not a 2-minute story, but this happened a long time ago. I was a teenager when I started working for a very good friend of mine's leather courier company, traveling around the world, importing expensive leather goods, getting paid for it. This was, 1999, 2000, 2001. And then I would find out the hard way that we were all being used to unknowingly smuggle narcotics. The jobs were offered basically travel around the world, getting paid to import expensive leather samples and import it as your own clothing to beat the import tax. Because we were just kids. He was recruiting people who were in their late teens, early 20s, and the whole spiel basically was that there's a 55% import tax back into the U.S. It's kind of true as far as that part, but it was a smokescreen. It was to keep our attention focused, thinking that we're like doing something wrong by beating the import tax and pretending the clothing is our own, so that he could save anywhere from 14 to 16,000. We get a free trip. We get $800 spending money. For me, the trips alone were payment enough. And I was excited.
But stop right there.
Travel.
Were you wearing clothes that you were smuggling, or were you carrying a package?
No. It wasn't even a package. It was like you had a manifest, and then you would like grade everything. Everything was professionally folded and closed in a suitcase, and you would go through it all, make sure everything wasn't damaged.
And this is clothing now, or
correct clothing. Okay. But we were told like they were like $3,000 jackets, $3,000 skirts. Like girls paid $50,000 for handbags. I don't know who, but it's worth something to someone else. It was a smokescreen by keeping our attention off of what we were really being used to do. They didn't have to pay us what we were worth. Also, they figured we wouldn't draw suspicion to ourselves at the airports because we didn't know we were being used to smuggle any narcotics. It's all. I ended up writing.
So where were the narcotics sewn into the garments or what?
No. The clothes were. If I took the clothes out and put it in another suitcase, maybe I would have got the shit yelled at me. But I would have probably figured out that this was too good to be true. It was professionally hidden in the walls of the suitcase. If you emptied the suitcase, it just felt like an empty suitcase. But it was so thin, and it was built into the walls of the suitcase, so they had to like rip it all out.
But couldn't one of those drug sniffing dogs sniff it out right away? Or
you would think, yeah. And on one of my trips, which is actually in my book, I almost found out the truth when I was on my first trip to Turkey. When I was coming back through Sweden, a drug sniffing dog pulled me out of the crowd. But earlier on my flight in Turkey, there was cats messing around my luggage, so I just chalked it up to maybe it's smelling the cat. Also, the drug sniffing dog was pulling out random people left and right, and they put me in a room with like a whole bunch of other people who had been pulled out. And so it was like it wasn't as scary as you think it would be. Like they were just like asking me questions. I was like, it's the leather. I'm here for the leather. And they went through everything. They found nothing. And then sadly, by them doing that, it reconfirmed that I was like, hey, these are actually legit trips. Because
I see.
in the back of my head, even on the first trip, I believed my friend, but deep down I was like, oh, maybe, what if, because you think the worst case scenario. But after that trip, I was telling everyone about these jobs because I was so sure they were legit and I wanted to share this opportunity with
So,
everyone, my
what was the
friends, my
moment
family.
at which you were busted?
I was busted. This is my friend. When I first started working for him, I was a teenager, but I was a working actor, stuntman. We had met at a gym in Burbank. I was his personal trainer, and he was always working out with me. So when you work out with somebody a couple times a week, you get to know them. You're not just talking about working out; you're talking about sports, women, life, and he was a successful Armenian businessman that was hiring people at the gym to travel around the world from. They were all going to Turkey though. They were going to Turkey. They were coming back through another country. Um, he wanted me to go every month, but I was busy. I was either doing jobs or I had life or I was doing other things. But I wanted to keep these opportunities open. So I was offering these jobs to everyone, all my friends, all my family, my brothers, my mother. I thought this was an awesome opportunity. I'd never been outside the country before until I met this man. And it was just a kind of a dream come true kind of job to get paid to go to another country. Um, Also, I was, when I was very young, I never thought someone could do something like this to somebody else. And nowadays, I don't trust anyone. Hell, I'll look both ways on a one-way street just because I think someone might be coming down the wrong way. I just don't. I have no faith in humanity anymore because of what happened to me. But back in the day, I was gullible. I believed that kind of thing would only happen in movies, and there's no way on earth someone could be shameless to do stuff like this. But I was wrong. Drug smugglers are shameless, and if they can get you to smuggle their narcotics for them and not tell you about it, they save a lot of money again, and also you don't draw suspicion to yourself. It didn't help that I was an actor, a stuntman, so everyone's like, "Oh, you're acting." Like, I'm not acting. I'm not a good actor. I mean, I was the unlucky one. I was very unlucky. I was the one who found out the hard way what we were all being used to do. But the sad part about it is if anyone was built for jail, it was me. And that's the thing I was happiest about was that it was me it was happening to, and not one of my countless friends or my family members that I encouraged this job to. So if anyone was going to have to go through this, I'm so glad and grateful that it was me because
Well, we'll
I
get
don't
to
know how
the.
I
I
would
want to
have
get to
felt.
the prison system in a second, but I imagine this moment like in Midnight Express, where he's. I'm sure you're
Billy
familiar with the
Hayes.
film by now. Of
I
all
know
people,
Billy
you'd
Hayes.
be
He's
familiar with it.
a buddy of
Yeah,
mine.
but what was your moment where they discovered that there were drugs and you were an unwitting mule?
Yeah. See, well, Billy Hayes. So I've talked to Billy Hayes many times about what happened to him, and
He was the
he
guy
knew
in
what
Midnight Express. Yeah.
yeah, he knew what he was doing. I mean, so he says, I mean, yeah, it sucks what he went through, but at the end of the day, he's the reason why he went through that. Now, what happened was I wasn't even supposed to make this trip. My brother Peter, he was at the time he wasn't doing very well, so $800 was a lot of money to him. And this is back in 2001, right after 9/11, by the way. So the world is changing quickly. Like I thought the world loved us until 9/11 happened, and that's how naive I was. That's how I didn't understand. I didn't understand how hated we were because we were sheltered in the U.S. That's well, I was. So my brother says, I want to take a trip. I'd love to go to Turkey. I could use $800. So I set him up with my friend Ray. Now during this time, I'm filming 4 different TV shows. I'm reoccurring. I just worked over the course of a year and a half on The Scorpion King. I finished The Planet of the Apes. I'm a working actor stuntman. I'm doing great. I just booked a pilot called 360. I got a movie lined up. I got a lot going for me. A lot going for me. And then all of a sudden, my friend calls me and says, yeah, your brother's not going. You need to talk to him. I've already set everything up. I'm going to lose a lot of money. And I'm thinking, like, why is my brother doing this? Like, it's making me look like a jerk. So I call my brother and I go, hey, Peter, what's going on, man? And he's like, I'm not going. I'm like, why, dude? You can't. I set everything up. You're making me look like a dipshit. He's like, yeah, I'm not going. I'm like, you're going to be fine because it's not safe over there. I go, dude, Turkey's a great country. You're going to love it. He goes, it's not to Turkey. It's to Pakistan. And this is the first I'm hearing about it. The first I'm hearing that it's to Pakistan was through my brother Peter. And now I can't vouch for Pakistan. I can vouch for Turkey because I've gone there a couple times. But I don't know what anything is. So I call Ray up and I'm like, hey, what is this crap about it being in Pakistan? He's like, look, because of what's going on in the Middle East right now, I'm getting a really good deal on leather goods over there. I'm like, good. Well, then if that's the case, you could FedEx it back. You don't need anyone going over there to get it. He's like, Eric. And he was a really good car salesman. That's the thing about Ray. He was so
These guys are
likable.
scammers. So they're
Well,
good. He worked it well, I guess.
oh, he did. And he's
So he
also like, he's
convinced
also
you to
really
take
good
the
at
trip to Pakistan instead of your brother.
I went in place of my brother because I got guilt tripped. And also, when I say I'm going to do something, I always do it. My word means a lot to me. And I didn't want to, he made me feel like I was letting him down. I was really screwing him over. I mean, I was there for 5 days, and those 5 days were awful. I got like, I drank some water at a little hole in the wall spot. Pakistan is an unforgiving country. I'm sorry. I mean,
I just imagine that every place is a hole in the wall spot in Pakistan.
It is. I've been all over the world, and there's beauty everywhere. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you want to go to Pakistan, don't. You're not missing anything. You're gonna avoid a lot of headache. But there was no foreigners there. There was no English anywhere. If you want to eat or something, you're playing Russian roulette with your health, because everything's ridiculously spicy. So you're going to want to drink some water. And if you don't drink it out of a bottle, you're going to pay for it, like I did. So I literally got sick for drinking something the first day I was there. Everything was going, this trip sucked from the very beginning. I was told by my boy Ray that his friends were going to show me around. We're going to have a good time. The second I landed in Pakistan, his friends are like, Ray messed up. You were supposed to fly to Karachi, which is like way south. It's in a completely different part of the country. And so I'm like, so what does that mean? They're like, oh, we're just going to put you at the hotel. You stay there. We'll come back in 5 days. I'm like, oh, that's not why I'm doing these trips. I'm doing them to go around and explore and try new things and go to museums, sightsee. That's the whole point. And so they dropped me off at a hotel, and they're like, just stay here. And I was like, well, I'm an idiot. I was still a rookie when it came to travel, even though I'd been to Turkey a couple times. I was still a rookie when it came to traveling. So I didn't think to change any of my currency. So Ray had said that they're going to give me money. So I'm like, Ray said you're going to give me money. So they're like, oh, really? And so they gave me 1,000 rupees, and they're like, that's like 300 American bucks. It was less than $18. All right.
Wow. Well, you should have already. This thing is going sideways.
Oh, it sucks.
But you stay there. You get the stuff that you were, the as per usual, right? Everything
Sure,
looked the
yeah.
same. You had the luggage. You went to the airport, and what happens? You check in with your ticket, and they go, "Wait a minute," or what? When is the moment?
Never even got that far. Because
Oh.
in Pakistan, on average, they're really tiny. Like they're like 5'4", 5'6". I'm 6'1", so I'm towering everybody. And there was this really long line for the international terminal, and I get called to the front of it. I'm thinking like, all right, it pays to be an American, and all the attention was on me that day. And here I'm thinking like, man, if I could just go back in time, I would go back to the day before I left for Pakistan, just drive Ray out to the middle of the desert and bury him in a hole with his head sticking out, pull a Sons of Anarchy. But at the airport, they went through all my luggage, but they didn't they took it all out and they went through all my luggage, and then the one guy packed it up, and I was about to walk through the metal detectors when someone else grabbed my arm and says, "Are you smuggling narcotics?" And I was like, "Check it again." So this time he took the luggage, and just the luggage, not my bag. I had my own bag, my own backpack, but they took the luggage with all the leather goods in it, and they threw the leather goods on the floor. And now I'm pissed off because that's what I'm here for. So I took all the leather goods while they took that suitcase to another part of the airport. I don't know where they took it. They took me to a different room and left me there. And I'm just worried that I'm going to miss my flight. So I'm telling them, do whatever you want with that suitcase. Bring me something else for all this stuff, because that's what I'm here for. Guards started filling up outside, and I'm just worried I'm going to miss my flight. Like, what the hell is happening? The guy who grabbed me earlier comes back with another guard bringing something with him, and he goes, "What is this?" And I go, "He's holding it. Like, he's the one holding it. Maybe he should tell you what it is," as I didn't know what it was. He goes, "This is opium." That's how they say opium. And literally 2 + 2 became 4 very fast. And I was like, "Why are you showing me this?" He says, "This came out of your luggage." Now, when you're on vacation, this thing you never want to say when you're on vacation, I had to say, I said, "I need to speak with the American embassy." This guy tells me, "Embassy can't help you. We're going to hang you after 5 o'clock prayer." Now all bets are off the table. I'm freaking out. Second he said that, they said that day I tried to escape. I was not trying to escape. I was simply trying to find a phone. My whole goal was, if I'm going to die, I'm going to make my life worth something. So I wanted to call my manager of all people. He always says, if you're in trouble, Erik, you call me first. I wanted to call my manager to warn others, because I was not the only one making these trips. There was so many other people making these trips. So I wanted to warn them. I wanted to warn my friends who were going on these trips too. That day I
They,
panicked.
they said we're going to hang you at 5 o'clock prayer. Is that what you
After
said?
5 o'clock prayer.
After 5 o'clock, we're going to hang. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was chaos. I went running down a hallway. Someone shot up the whole hallway with a bunch of other people in it. Everyone hit the ground. I barricaded myself down in an office that had like a waiting room and then another office, and I hung in there, but there was no windows. And I did find a phone. That was my goal, but I couldn't get out because I didn't understand the country
Sure.
codes
The
and all that
codes
stuff.
and all the rest. Yeah.
But they couldn't get in the room because I barricaded the door. Eventually, I heard like they were like, "You're surrounded. Come out with your hands up." And I'm like, "You can't come in. I want to speak to somebody with the embassy." I was a 21-year-old, 220, 225-pound gym rat.
Sure. You
And
felt
I was,
like, hey, I'm going to stay here until I get
yeah,
somebody to speak with, some
well,
help.
yeah, I was like, these guys are going to try to kill me. So
Sure.
I'm panicking. And I barricaded the desk, all the I'm blinking, the filing cabinets, all the furniture was in
So at
front of that
some
door.
point they breached all of that, or you have
No,
to.
no, they
No.
never got in. But someone from the embassy came, and well, someone I thought was from the embassy, but it wasn't. It was the DEA, and they said, "You want to speak with an American?" I was like, "Are you from the embassy?" Yes, I was an idiot, and they're like DEA, and so I was asking them stupid. Bottom, I don't want to give it all away because it's all in the book, but I'm
Sure.
giving you the crackerjack version. So the DEA came there to see what was going on, basically. But in their eyes, I was guilty because DEA is not there to decide if you're innocent. Their job is to try to get the bigger fish. They assume that I'm just a piece of shit drug smuggler, and they want to get all the bigger fish and all the people that I'm apparently working for. So they didn't give a crap about me, and they were belittling me. They were changing their questions as I'm halfway through an answer, trying to catch me in a lie. And
This is all there at the airport?
this is all at the airport. It was in a different room though. Like first they got me
Right.
out of the room, and then they brought me to a different part of the room. Someone's like, it was like, I don't know, some superintendent's office. Well, three of them were in there. Was one, and then one Pakistani dude whose office it was, and then all the guards were outside. I gave them all the information I had, and eventually I realized they just think I'm a liar. They're not listening to anything. So finally, I was like, "Look, give me some benefit of the doubt. Other people are making these trips. They don't know. At least warn them. I'm screwed." And it was one of the guards or not the guards, one of the DEA guys who told me. He goes, Why'd you try to escape?" And I'm like, "I didn't try to escape. They said they're going to hang me, man." And at this point, I still thought they were going to hang me. And then he goes, "They were kidding." I was like, "Why would you kid about that? I don't understand." Like, I wish I don't.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm on your side on that one. So they haul you out to a prison. You end up in a Pakistani
Not at
prison.
first. No, not at
Okay.
first. First they brought me to first I got brought to a lockup. They put me in like just a general lockup at a police station. I guess it was airport police station where there was a bunch of Pakistani men in the cell. Things went south fast in there. People, someone asked me where I was from, like an idiot. I'm like, America, because I was just a cocky football player, stuntman who, you know, everything I knew about prison, I knew from the show Oz, which was out in there in the time. And you have to be tough when you go in there, otherwise you're gonna be someone's bitch, and that's not an option for me. Plus, I'm like, no, I'm only gonna be here a couple hours because I'm innocent. They're gonna call my mom.
Yeah, the rest of you guys, you're going to be here a long time, but I'm out of here.
No,
Yeah.
there's at no point at that point I was like, there's no way I'm going to be here that long. They're going to call my mom. They're going to arrest Ray. He's going to, there's too many people making these trips. There's too many people that know. So at this point, I'm like, this sucks what I'm going through, but I don't think I'm going to be there that long. These guys start trying to fight me. Like it's a room. Like I feel like the Santa Claus in Gremlins. All right. But they're not, they're old men. They're small. The other guards are like they think it's a hoot because I'm just laying these dudes out. But then they finally say, okay. And they bring me to another cell and they put me in a smaller cell that has only two guys who aren't trying to do anything. Two people from the embassy come, this girl named Christy and the Pakistani interpreter, a guy named Afzal. They come to the police station. First thing she says is, "How are you doing?" I was like, "Great." And then I said something stupid because I thought I was going to be out of there soon. I said, if I'd known that I'd meet
You're
someone.
always speaking movie dialogue is your problem, Eric. Yeah.
It really is, dude. Because I'm thinking
Yeah.
at the time that
You
this
think
would be
you're
a great
James
story
Bond
one day.
and right. Go
I
ahead.
said to her, "Hey, if I'd known I was going to meet someone as pretty as you, I would have gotten in trouble a long time
Oh
ago."
my God.
And she says, "Yeah, he's from California."
Oh,
And so she's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Great." She's like, "No, really, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm awful. I'm in jail. My flight took off. So how do I get out of here?" She says to me, now this is a Friday. This is the day after Valentine's Day, because it's that, yeah. So this is February 15th, 2002. This is only a couple months after 9/11. So this is the worst time that I can be there. That's how dumb I am, right? She says, well, this is what's going to happen. They're going to present you in front of a magistrate tomorrow, and then they're going to decide how long to leave you in physical remand. I'm like, what's physical remand? She says it's exactly what it sounds like. In Pakistan, they figure that if they can't get the truth out of you, they can beat it out of you. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about? She goes, that's how it's done here in Pakistan. I was like, okay, so what are you guys going to do to stop it? Like they said, there is nothing we can do. All we can do is make sure that you're not being treated any differently than anyone else, unfortunately. And while she's saying this, they're beating the feet of some dude over here who's screaming his head off. They think that's how it's done there. So she says, yeah, you're going to be presented tomorrow in front of the courts for physical remand. And I go, when will I see you guys again? They're like, we'll try to come back on Tuesday. I'm like, Tuesday? What? Like, I'm over there behind the bars and I'm laughing like this. I'm like, this shit just keeps getting better and better.
Oh my God.
So all of a sudden, I tell her everything I can. She's like, you don't have to talk to us. I'm like, no, I'm going to talk to you. I give her my mother's information. I'm like, Ray, that son of a bitch, the gym, blah, 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 blah. I'm innocent. This must be my brother's trip. And like, I catch her up and she's like, okay, sure, we'll see. And then she tells me we'll try to come back on Tuesday. She comes back that night because she called my mother and she goes, yeah, your mom said almost word for word everything you said. Her perception completely changed on me. Like, holy shit, this guy.
Now she really understood that you were unwitting in all of this.
Well, she really doubted that I was a drug smuggler.
Sure.
So she came back that night and she brought me a Coke and a pizza. And I thank God she did that because I was not going to be fed for the next 3 days. The next day, I was presented in front of a lower court magistrate. Now, at the time, I didn't understand Urdu or understand what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. They had chains on me. I was presented through a bazaar that had, I want to say hundreds and hundreds of people, but there's way more. It went back forever. And people were asking me for money while I'm in chains, being paraded through the crowds. They're grabbing my legs and everything like, hey, can I get some money? I'm in chains and you guys should be giving me stuff. Now they put me in front of this court and I'm over there just like, okay, just let's see what happens. Fuck it. Let's go. And I don't know what's happening because it's between this prosecutor dude who's with the airport police talking to the judge. Now, Christy and the Afzal were back here in the court watching. They're just supposed to be observing. And as they're about to lead me away, Christy actually went and started speaking to the judge, but it was all in Urdu. I had no idea what she was saying and everything. She wasn't supposed to be meddling, I guess, or whatnot. She was just supposed to be observing. She got involved. And when they were pulling me away, I was like, so what was that about? She goes, they wanted to give you 10 days. I got you 3. And I was like, I could have lasted 10 days. She says, you're welcome. I was like, thank you. So she talked them down from 10 days to 3 days for physical remand. Physical remand, they kill people over in Pakistan. I didn't know this at that time, but people died during physical remand.
What happened to you during the 3 days?
During 3 days, they
did they single you out because you were an American? Did you feel as though you were being given harsher treatment or easier treatment?
No. This is what they do in Pakistan. This is just a normal job and everything. The guy who was in charge of interrogating me and having deciding which stations to put me on, it's like a routine thing. It's just clockwork. It's not improvised. It's just you go in there, you get hung up, you get beat like a punching bag. They beat the bottom of your feet. They ask you the same questions. They drown you. They ask the same questions. They electrocute you. They ask you the same questions. Always the questions are like, where'd you get these drugs? Who are they? Where are they from? Who else is working for them? Give us their numbers. Give us their addresses.
And it doesn't matter what you say. That's going to continue, right?
No. Now, in Pakistan, and I believe here too, people in America will plead guilty or to a lesser crime or to a lesser charge for something they didn't do, because they're afraid that if they fight it and they lose it, they're looking at felonies. That's why they're always copping pleas. I think in America, that happens all the time. Back in the day, I'd be like, if you're in jail, you're probably a bad guy. You deserved it. Not anymore. Now I think the majority of people who are in jail or in punishment probably just had a bad lawyer or were too scared to fight it. In Pakistan especially, people will admit to everything to get them to stop beating you. So you got people who who aren't involved in any way, shape, or form, giving up names of other people who aren't involved in any way, shape, or form because they want the beatings to stop. So now you got a whole bunch of people who are part of something that they had nothing to do with, admitting they're part of it and giving up more names because they wanted the tortures to stop. So for 3 days, they tortured me for information I did not have.
After 3 days of torture, in effect, and I assume you give them the same information you'd given everybody, since that was real information. That is to
The
say,
first two,
Ray, mom, etc. Right?
the first 2 days, I gave them absolutely all the information, and it stayed consistent. On the third day, all they wanted me to do was admit the drugs are mine. That was their goal. Just admit the drugs are mine. All this was stop, biscuits, tea. I admitted nothing. Absolutely nothing. And by the end of it, though, the guards were actually kind of like, I don't know. They weren't as mean with me, you know. They were like, they felt kind of bad for me. And so, because I mean, this is just their job, you know, they weren't getting off on it, but that was their job. And at the end of it, when it was all over, the guards were like, "Hey, you okay? Let's go." And they weren't like thrusting me or anything else. I noticed that. So I kind of won them over with all the shit that I took during those 3
Was
days.
there any English, by the way, or did they not speak at all?
Well, not the guards. The guy
There is an
interrogated
interpreter
me.
there as you're being tortured.
No, there was no interpreter. No, the guy
Okay.
who was asking the questions, he spoke. He could see English, but he couldn't understand it. And I would
That's
figure that
weird.
out because when I start trying to talk to him, he just like never repeated what I said, and then would ask another English question.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess they just wanted to hear names, numbers, addresses. Yes, the drugs are mine. That's the only things they wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear how I worked at a gym, how I was a stuntman, all this kind of stuff. You know, they didn't want to hear none of that.
How you end up in this prison system for so long. So something in the 3 days, or something in the preloaded way in which they treat you, or just in the constellation of events. So you had the bags, it's your stuff, you're going to prison. Is that kind of where we end up?
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
that I'm a foreigner. And Pakistan doesn't. Pakistan has bail, but not bail like we have. And bail, you go home that day. In Pakistan, you don't even get a chance to get bail for years. By then, you've already been punished. And if you're a foreigner, you don't even have a chance of getting bail whatsoever.
And what was
So
your
I'm going.
sentence?
What's that?
What did they sentence you to? Or why, when you go into the
Oh,
prison
oh.
system, how long are you going to be serving, do you think? Or
When I went to jail, I went to jail after 5 days. I was arrested on the 15th. I started getting tortured on the 16th, 17th, 18th. So I went to jail. Sorry, I went to jail on the 19th, and in jail, that's when I learned when my next prison or my next court appearance would be, and it was told it'd be in 2 weeks. So, but my first day in jail, I went in swinging because, like I said, the only thing I ever knew about prison was what I learned on Oz. So there's a when you get introduced to that prison in Pakistan, there's these guys called number darts who are prisoners that do the guards' dirty work, and their rewards for doing that is the new prisoners, the new fish that come into the prison. They'll get to beat them, take like jackets, shoes, watches, any kind of money, anything of value. And normally there's like anywhere from 12 to like 15, 16 of these guys, but about a dozen are coming in. So you'll have like one guy for one guy, sometimes two guys for one guy, and everyone's like covering and everything up. So I knew that I was going in fighting because the guards were over here after they took all this stuff off me. One guard was like, and I'm like, just open the fucking gate, you know, because I'm thinking kickoff or whatever. And I'm thinking, man, you better go in hard. Otherwise, these guys are going to make you their bitch. Good thing for me, though, is Pakistanis are wearing dresses and they got beards and sandals. I'm in, boots and my damn, motorcycle jacket. So I went right through these dudes. And so they couldn't surround me and started backpedaling the whole time, using their beards against them, throwing them on the ground, body slamming. I'm just leaving a trail of these dudes. Now, if I knew then what I knew now, I would have gone in a lot nicer and made friends because
yeah, because
you
you
win a
need
lot more
people
bees
in
with
there.
honey.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I'm scared and everything. And I didn't want these
Sure.
guys to hurt me. Some little guy who's a Mashakti. A Mashakti's a prison worker. He was, and I shit you not, he's like 4'10". This guy, like, just coming up like, la, 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 and like telling these assholes to knock it off. And I'm thinking, there's no way this guy's gonna try to hurt me because he looks like an Oompa Loompa. He grabs my arm, to pull me, to show me where to go. So thank God he gets me away from all these jerks who I've been fighting. and I go to the barracks, the processing barrack. Now, this is the biggest prison of all of Pakistan. This is a prison built for only 1,800 prisoners, but there's 6,000 prisoners. There are hundreds coming and going every day, and it's prayer hour by the time I'm there. So everyone's praying at the mosque. I see literally thousands of people just praying on their mats, but they put me in a processing barrack. I'm tired. I've been tortured for 3 days. The bottom of my feet hurt. I just fought all these assholes at the front of the gate, and I just want to sleep and try to process what's happening. So he puts me in the processing barrack, which normally people come in there, stay there a couple of days, 3, 4 days, 5 days, until they decide where to put them in the prison. I'm trying to sleep. I'm tired, but my mind won't shut down. And then finally, I feel like a bunch of people in my little bubble. And I open my eyes, and sure enough, there's a whole bunch of people that are looking at me because I'm the new guy that's there. And, they'd never met an American before, pretty much. They go, "What country are you from?" Now, I learned my lesson at the police lockup, and I wasn't going to say that again. So I said, "Pakistan, born and raised, right down the road." And they're like, "No, no. You're an American." And I'm like,
that's
"What?"
a bad bluff, pal. I gotta say, that's
I'm like, "I'm not American." And then they put me right on this big. I'm on the front page of the newspaper. They're holding up, and there's me posing with all these guys because I was an asshole, thinking I'm going home that night. It'll be a cool picture. And I'm like, "Oh shit!" So next thing I know, I'm fighting the whole fucking prison on the second floor, and I'm getting my ass handed to me because I'm tired. There's too many of them. I threw a dude off my back onto the floor beneath me. He's crowd surfing. He's fine. But the guards see what's happening. They're like, "We better get into this." They start baton charging everyone, especially me. I get drugged to Kasori. Kasori is like punishment cell. You don't even see your hand in front of your face. It's so dark. And I end up spending the first 5 days in that prison in Kasori. Only good thing about Kasori, though, is that there's no one else there.
Right.
Bad thing about Kasori, though, is the only time you see sunlight is when they bring you out for your hourly beating the bottom of your feet. They got a foot fetish in Pakistan. You get fed once a day. You got a little hole in the corner where you go and you use the restroom. And it's so small, the closet. It's like a cramped closet. So you're like leaning up, all bunched up. You can't lay out completely.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I would
That's your first 2 weeks in this.
my first 5 days.
I get it, but I'm saying that I'm just thinking about the first 2 weeks in this place. I get you had 3 days. I mean, I don't know I can't do the arithmetic on what was where, but before you were transferred to
3
the
days
main.
of getting tortured, and then my first 5 days in jail in Kasori.
Okay.
They took
5
me out
days
of
in Kasori.
They took me out of Kasori to go see that Christy came back to the prison, and that's when she told me that my mom was back home trying to get lawyers for me, and because I'm thinking I need a lawyer, we'll get Ray. Getting a lawyer in Pakistan, man, I'll tell you right now, if you have someone in trouble in Pakistan and you know someone who's Pakistani here, don't ask them for help. Don't, because this is what was happening to my mom. People who were Pakistani here weren't saying, "Oh, that sucks, a terrible situation. I wish I could help." They were saying, "I know someone. We're going to send him your way, and he's going to fix everything, but he's going to need a lot of money."
Sure.
So everyone was using it as a opportunity to bank off of it. So my mom was giving them money, what little money she had, emptying my accounts, giving them money, and then they disappear, and nothing was happening. But she was trying to get me lawyers. And like I said, it's every 2 weeks to go to court in Pakistan. So here the embassy comes. It's the 20th, February 20th, and I'm over there like just jacked up, like, oh my God, okay, what's happening now? Like they don't know what's going on in the prison, and they tell me, "Well, you're going to be coming back to court in 2 weeks," and I'm like, oh my God.
You were going back to court, you were saying, in another 2 weeks. And you have to figure out some kind of strategy. Who is your advocate, or are you led into court in chains and no one's your advocate?
Oh, I went to court every 2 weeks, sometimes every week, sometimes a couple times a week. Like at first, it started off every 2 weeks, and then it'd be like every week, then every couple days, and every 2 weeks.
What's happening in court with all these trips?
Man, nothing, because I didn't have a lawyer.
That's what I mean. So you have no one, and you're standing there, and they're speaking in a language you don't understand, and then
correct.
You walk out, and then somebody tells you what happened, or what?
No, the embassy was coming in and watching, and they were watching. So Afzal, the interpreter, after everything was said and done, would come over and try to generalize what happened. He didn't go like, "This is exactly like." He was just like, "This is what happened," and He was not helpful whatsoever. That guy's another story. Christy was cool, but she was only there for 4 months. Then she got transferred to another embassy. So then I would get all these consulars who, even before that happened, something bad happened. It was St. Patrick's Day. When is St. Patty's Day? It's early, like March. It's March 13th, right? The reason why it was St. Patty's Day, it's a big day, is because it was the day after St. Patty's Day. It was a Sunday. And at the embassy, some jerk went there and threw a bunch of grenades at the embassy compound church, and it killed a bunch of people. But because it was the day after St. Patty's Day, the church wasn't as packed. And the reason I found this out is because everyone was hungover from St. Patty's Day. So being hungover is what saved a lot of people. I know we're laughing, but a lot of people died. And because a lot of people died, the embassy started to get a little bit more under security. Like they weren't coming out as much. And they were like, so not people just couldn't come see me anymore. The ones that would come see me, though, were under police escort, armed. They would drive like 120 miles an hour to get to and from the prison. And the consulars got meaner and meaner and meaner, and because all they were being told is like, yeah, you got a drug smuggler. And
sure, you're now a hand-me-down from the people who originally knew your story. Yeah,
correct. And it was only the people that were like, I want to get out of the compound. I guess I'll go. And I would get some people who were nice, but then I get some people who were just like, maybe you'll pack a little lighter next time. You know, everyone thought that I was just some idiot drug smuggler who deserved to be in the situation I was. Here's the sad thing. It was about 6 months after I'm in jail. By the way, here's a big thing I missed. Because everyone in the prison kept trying to kill me. Some dipshit put a 5,000 rupee bounty on my head, so I couldn't be in general population. Everyone was trying to kill me. Everyone was trying to stab me. I was in fights nonstop. The superintendent at the time decided, well, I know where we can put him. He's going to be hung anyways. Let's keep him on death row. Death row is the most isolated, most secure part of the prison. So they put me in death row. So for my first 9.5 months in this jail, I'm actually on death row with people who've been convicted of death row. And I'm there. I was safe, but it's still like mind-boggling. I'm on death row, and I would watch the gallows all the time. And so I was watching people get hung and pleading for their lives and executed.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So, but Erik, I do have to kind of wrap up, and I'm utterly. I believe I could talk about this all night with you. I mean, it's fascinating, and I'm sure that everybody's fascinated. And we'll pick up your book, and we'll have a link to your book on this video and on the main site. That is to say, on our main show, there'll be links. So there'll be several ways people can pick up the book and read about it. I mean, I really want to get into it, but. Ultimately, you're there on death row, and you're there on death row for how long? Are you at that same prison for the entire time you're in Pakistan?
Yes, I was there. I was at the prison in Pakistan for 2 years, 10 months, 15 days, 9.5 months of it on death row. I spent 132 days in Kasuri, which is where they beat the bottom of my feet.
Tell me, that lawyer who ultimately becomes their lawyer, ultimately becomes your lawyer, he becomes your advocate in court. Yeah. Did the court accept the fact that you were wrongly accused?
Yeah, they believed 100. Not this lower court. Lower court just wanted money for my acquittal. If you're guilty, you want to go to jail in Pakistan, because if you're guilty, you can pay the judge some money, you can pay the prosecutors off some money, you can pay the cops off some money to make it look like that you didn't have 5 kg of heroin, you only had a couple 100 grams, so it'll go away. So if you're guilty, you want to go to jail in Pakistan, you pay off the right people, you only serve a small amount of time, and you go home. And I would see countless foreign drug smugglers come back to jail multiple times. One dude came back to jail 3 different times while I was there becoming the OG. I'm thinking, like, if you're innocent, you're screwed. Now, because I was innocent, and I'm an American, and the newspapers were saying that I was this Hollywood actor and that I was the hero of the mummies because I worked on the Scorpion King as a stuntman only. They thought I was Brendan Fraser. So they thought I was a multimillionaire. So these idiots thought I was Brendan Fraser with all this money. And so I had lawyers who were coming up and laughing. I'm laughing too, trust me, but the shit at the time, man, sucked.
The way you tell it, I'm sure at the time it was a desperate thing, but man, you tell it, it's funny.
When I was living it, I literally was like laughing at myself every day, because that's just like, I'm like, my God, this is unbelievable. I have to laugh at this. This is my life. And I would have lawyers coming up to me asking for $4 million. Now, this is a $400 case for anyone else. $1 at the time was 60 rupees roughly. So that's 24,000 rupees. I'm literally looking at these little drunk, hungover lawyers, and I'm like, you mean rupees? 4 million rupees is ridiculous. It's supposed to be 24. He'd be looking at me like, this is a death sentence case, my friend. Dollars. I'm like, you take check? Huh?
Yeah. Oh my God. Chance. They thought you were Brandon. That's really wild. That's really wild.
I don't.
So, but
Yeah.
so in the end, you're here talking to us now because you were accepted to be, but never. You're saying the courts never accepted you as wrongly accused. How did you
No,
get
no, no.
out?
The high courts believed I was innocent.
I see.
Absolutely. But their
Okay.
exact words were, "We can't say we kept an American in jail for 3 years. It makes us look bad." So they gave me time served, which I was like, "I'll do it," because I never ever admitted to it because I wasn't guilty, and I refused to plead guilty for a crime I didn't commit. Although 11 and a half months when I had been in jail, the judge had gone down on his deal. He wanted 125,000 for my acquittal. Then he wanted like less and less and less. And because that's why they made me go to court so many times. Finally, he's like, fine, I'll take the $1,000, which is a lot of money still. But for them, that's life-changing money, which was a 60,000 rupees. And here was the deal. The embassy's like, congratulations, Erik, you're going home soon. I'm like, all right, great. They're like, but you got to plead guilty. And I was like, why would I plead guilty for a crime I didn't commit? And it was like, at the time, I was a dilemma. I was like, this is not right. I don't want to plead guilty. These guys have already taken everything away from me. I was tortured for shit I didn't do. I didn't do this. I don't want to plead guilty. And it was the embassy. There was a mean lady from the embassy. She goes, Erik, what do you care? It's Pakistan. Just go home. And then it was the interpreter though who made my decision for me. He says to me, he goes, Erik, what's worth more to you? Your pride or your freedom? And I remember looking down at him and I was like, you little bastard. Because my decision was made right then and there.
Sure.
And I refused to plead guilty for a crime I didn't commit, full well knowing that I was looking at death or life.
Wow.
So the judge sent me away and they brought me back because they wanted me to plead guilty just so he can make money. That's the only thing he cared about was money. It's the only thing he cared about. But he was like blown away that I refused to plead guilty with this. The deal was he was going to give me 2 years, and with the time I'd served there and good behavior and special remissions and paying off the right people, I probably would have only been in jail another 4 months. And I still refused to plead guilty because I didn't do this. So when I refused to plead guilty, I was like, all right, in my head, high court, Erik, let's focus on high court. I was expecting this asshole to give me death or life. He gave me 7 years, and I was relieved. Holy crap. I was expecting the book to be thrown at me, right, with the kitchen sink. He gave me 7 years, which was still ridiculously harsh because all these other people were being arrested with like tons of kgs and getting 5 years, 3 years because they're playing the game.
Playing the game meaning they're admitting to it.
They're admitting to it. They're paying the right people off. Now, that's the problem is if you're innocent and you got integrity, you're screwed. And that's the thing that happened to me is I refused to plead guilty for a crime I didn't commit. If I was guilty, I would have admitted it and I would never even apologize to it. I'd be like, look, all right, some bad shit happened to me. I deserved it, but I didn't deserve this at all. And I don't care. Like I wouldn't care.
So you never admitted to it in the end because there was nothing to admit to.
No,
and ultimately you left Pakistan 3 years after this whole ordeal began.
Yeah.
And the rest of the details are in the book, and I can't wait to get into it. 3 years in Pakistan, I can't imagine it under the best of circumstances. And here you are in a prison. I just keep coming back to Midnight Express. That's the only exposure to. That was a Turkish prison in Midnight Express.
I am going to differentiate the differences between me and Billy Hayes. Now, Billy Hayes is a buddy of mine, but he knows that what he did, he deserved it. And also, when you see the movie Midnight Express, it's like sad and drawn out, and it's just repetitive. I'll tell you right now, in a sink or swim situation, I was jet skiing. The first year sucked in prison. But once I figured out how things worked, once I learned the language, once people started seeing me as a human being and the guards, everyone started working for me. I became like Red from Shawshank Redemption. If you needed something, you came to me. I was running poker games in jail. I was organizing soccer matches against the guards. I had a good time in jail. By the time it was like the first year sucked, but the second 2 years I was like living on a college dorm.
When did the beating and torture stop?
The beatings stopped after I took a really big, nasty fight with one of the worst guards in the prison, this guy nicknamed Goldleaf. Goldleaf is an expensive cigarette brand in Pakistan. And this guard, a normal pack of cigarettes is like 6-7 rupees, but a Goldleaf cigarettes were 40 rupees. That's a ridiculous amount of money. An average guard would make 100 rupees a day. That's less than $2 a day. Now, 40% of their pay for a pack of cigarettes is ridiculous. This dude was nicknamed Goldleaf because he would have prisoners beat until they either agreed to buy him gold leaf cigarettes or were forced to. But he had also, since that prison opened, he'd been there since the beginning, notoriously had hundreds of prisoners beat to death who either couldn't afford to or just refused to. This guy came to me on a day I had really bad earaches, and he was talking shit. I was understanding him pretty damn good by this point because I was always learning the language with flashcards. My goal every day was to learn, 20 to 40 words every day. So my vocabulary was great. I could understand these jerks. They didn't know that, though. And then this guy starts talking trash to me. I got these really bad earaches. I'm just working out. And finally, I had enough. And this is right around the time we're about to go to war with Iraq. So we got war drums going over there. All the Muslims there hate me. Why is America doing this? Why is Bush hating Muslims? I don't know. I don't know Bush personally. So you can't really ask me. But they wanted questions, This guy starts talking smack. Then he tells me, give me 500 rupees. And in his own language, I go, we may all be dogs, but you're a little bitch. And words like, I should have gave him the money. This dude comes into the cell, and this guy's like $1.15 soaking wet. He's a little old man. Looks like he's probably in his 50s, but he looks like he's in his 70s. Everyone ages really fast in Pakistan. And I beat the crap out of this guy. He's had enough. A couple guards came to try to help him out. I beat the crap out of them. One goes to get away, and I'm like, all right, screw it. Today's a good day to die. Let's make them earn it. And I'm like doing two things in my room. I'm preparing and I'm praying. Now, I took the lock from my cell and locked the outer door, and I went inside, put all my sweaters on, all my shirts, my beanie. I was putting tissue paper up in my gums. That day I held them out of my room for almost an hour, and that's according to the hijackers, because for me, everything went fast. They would throw tear gas in, I'd throw it back. No one wanted to come into my cell by themselves, that's for sure. By the time they finally ripped me out of that cell, my body just didn't want to work. I was tired. I couldn't lift my head up. They broke every finger on my right hand one by one. They started on my left when the superintendent, who never left his office unless it was a DORA, which is where he goes and searches the prison with everyone to see everything. I held the guards out of my room long enough to get his attention. And when he got my attention, Goldleaf's telling them that they found drugs on me, that I attacked him. Now, Goldleaf doesn't know I speak Urdu at this point, and I'm over on the ground. Like the whole time this was happening, I was getting beat up. I was just waiting for death to come, but it wouldn't come. It was just nonstop stomping and beatings and slappings, and But I can hear Goldleaf telling him they found drugs on me, that I attacked him. I'm on the floor telling him that he's a liar. They're taking money from me. I'm starving here. I'm gonna die. And the superintendent comes over and he says, "You speak Urdu?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." Ask me what happened. I tell him how Goldleaf wanted 500 rupees, how the guards come into my cell at night, beat the crap out of me when I'm sleeping, and steal my money. He says, "I believe you." I mean, there's more to it, but he says, "I believe you." And then he fired Goldleaf right there on the spot. Now,
wow.
because he fired Goldleaf, everything after that changed for me, because Goldleaf was a monster for the whole prison. It wasn't just me, it was the whole prison.
So people are thanking you for Ding Dong, the witch is dead.
When I woke up at the hospital, like my hand was bandaged up, there was like Pepsi and chicken and sweet dish and cards, and like it was people were hugging me, everyone was hugging me and thanking me because I got rid of this dude. Exactly, because I got rid of this dude who was making life hell for everyone. After that, though, because he wasn't the only one that got fired that day, a bunch of other guards got fired that day. And after that, all the guards were like, "Look, man, if I even see a Kalashnikov rifle in this American's room, I'm going to look the other way," because they don't want to lose their jobs.
Sure, they felt like all of a sudden for some reason, this American got all those guys fired.
Well, yeah. the superintendent, the superintendent and I became good friends after this. Actually, his name was Nadeem Coker, and he liked me. And he didn't think I was guilty. He genuinely believed I was innocent.
Wow, what a remarkably harrowing story. Unbelievable. I mean, you might have been, if not uniquely, extraordinarily a person who could withstand and somehow navigate that horror. It's incredible. I can't wait to get into the book. There'll be a link for the book under this video and also under the main show. And wow, it's so great to have you here. And I must say, as I say, I could talk to you about this stuff and get into every little tributary of what happened for hours, because it's a tale you just will not hear many people tell. So thanks, Erik, and good luck with the book. And I guess was there a movie or some kind of other part of this, right?
So
the book took so long to write because every time I would try to get a ghostwriter to write it, I would sit with them for months and months, and then they would try to go get, they would write a treatment and then try to go get an advance, and no one was given advances. And so I sat with them for 3 to 4 to 5 months, and it just time went away and it wasted my time. Then I go to another ghostwriter, another ghostwriter. Finally, Locked Up Abroad, they did the show. They wanted me to
That's
be
it.
on since
Right.
season one, and I didn't want to be on the show because I was like, all the people on your show are guilty. And every season they would come back to me, come back to me, come back to me. Here I'm trying to write my book. I've got a script. I mean, everyone loves the story, but no one wants to put money up. Finally, season 6, Locked Up Abroad says, "Hey, we saw that you're acting again. You're pretty good. What if we let you play yourself?" And I was like, what better asshole to play this asshole than this asshole? So I played myself in Locked Up Abroad season 6, From Hollywood to Hell. Problem with Locked Up Abroad for me is the show's in every country. It's a Nat Geo show, so it's in every country in every language. My episode was viewed over 1 billion times, and I don't know if you know about the internet, but everyone on the internet's 7 feet tall. So I was getting death threats from all over the world in every language. Everyone's like, "How many dicks did you suck in prison?" I'm like, "Well, besides your dad's and your mom's, I mean, like, how many times did you get raped for a bowl of lentil soup?" I'm like, I lost count, Everyone on the internet was just coming at me with bullshit because Locked Up Abroad took a 13-hour rushed interview, crammed it into 48 minutes, and only kept the exciting stuff. They left out how I was the way I was, how I was able to adapt, and how I was able to adjust because my life before prison led me to be built for jail. I'm the only one that I'll say this. I was built for jail.
Yeah,
So
that's what I
because
guess I was saying. You're uniquely maybe built for this situation, but it's more
well,
than just your physical. You navigated this psychologically as well.
and
Yeah.
that's all in my book, but that's also in my documentary, 3 years in Pakistan, the Erik Aday story. There's also I had to make my own documentary, and anyone who took the time to watch Locked Up Abroad talk smack to me, but take the time to watch 3 years in Pakistan, they did a 180 because they're like, now it makes sense. The bus accidents, the beatings, how I was able to learn and how
And
to
where is the
adapt.
documentary visible and viewable?
They're both okay. So my book and my documentary are the same name, 3 Years in Pakistan, the Erik Aday story. They're both on Amazon. You can
I
you can
love it.
download the book or watch the
So we'll have links
documentary.
to both the book and the documentary.
Correct.
Eric, I'm sorry, I wish I had more time.
No, it's
You're
all right, buddy.
terrific, and I congratulate you on somehow making it through it all. And beyond that, you're like a super well-adjusted guy. I just really don't know how you've done it, but bravo, my friend. And it was great to see you again. I look
I
forward to the next
appreciate
time.
Mark everything, man. You take care. Okay. Thanks for having
Okay,
me on the
Erik
show.
Aday, everybody. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.